Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today, we are being joined by Scott Miller, who is the author of Management Mess to Leadership Success, 30 Challenges to Become the Leader You Would Follow. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. Delighted to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
Rock and roll.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
You know, this may sound like a cliche, but I think it's to understand your why. Why are you writing a book? Because why you're writing a book is going to define the goals you have for your book. I coach a lot of people weekly when they want to launch a book or find a publisher or need an editor. And so I'll ask them, why are you writing your book? And there's no wrong answer. It might just be because you have a book in you and you need to get it out. Or it might be that you want to earn an income stream on that book. Good luck with that, because most books don't pay very well or sell a lot. Or it might be that you want to become a speaker, or you need it for your credibility. There's a lot of different reasons. None of them are wrong. But I would say get very clear on your why, because your why drives your what being the goals. And then your goals are really going to determine how you choose to market your book, how you choose to pick a publisher and editor, how much money you put behind it, how you grow marketing assets. Of course, the strategy is different between fiction and nonfiction. So I'd encourage everyone to get super clear on your why.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, of course, it's different again for the type of book, right? Generally speaking, if you are writing for fiction, most publishers won't touch you unless you have a finished manuscript. The opposite is true in the nonfiction world, where typically you don't have a book that's done. You have a concept, an idea, a plan, a structure, an outline, and a lot of publishers will pick you up based on that. But the hardest is probably, getting a publisher to pay attention to you. Publishers are being constantly inundated with ideas, proposals, and manuscripts. But they also are in the business of wanting to publish books. So they're just looking for the right book. You need to make sure that you are in front of the right publisher for your book. You hear all these stories around how, J.K. Rowling and others were passed up, dozens and dozens of times. Don't get discouraged. You just need the right publisher to believe in you, and be very clear that authors of books, your role is not just author. Your role is also marketer, because publishing houses typically don't really market your book. They buy your book, they print your book, and they distribute your book. They don't generally market your book. That is the responsibility of the author. So most publishers now won't even touch a first-time author if you don't have a massive social media following, if you don't have 50,000 YouTube subscribers, 500,000 Instagram followers, 30,000 LinkedIn followers, 5,000 Facebook friends. Social media is the backbone of book publishing, especially in the midst of a virtual marketplace or a pandemic.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
Well, so Paul, I've authored and published 2 books. I have 2 more that are coming out in 2021 and 2 more that are coming out in 2022. I think marketing changes probably every 5 or 6 months when it comes to the publishing world. Something that I learned from Rachel Hollis that really is based on a principle from Seth Godin, and that is to define your smallest viable market. Seth Godin is a good friend of mine, would tell you that if you're marketing a book, you need to be really clear on who is the first person that's going to buy your book. What is their name? Who are they? Then who is the second person, the third person, the fourth person? Rachel Hollis has done that in a genius fashion. Rachel, also a friend of mine, of course, wrote the books Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing. She sold more books in America last year than any other author other than Michelle Obama, because she knows who she's writing for. She's a very particular author, shows exactly who her market is and who her market isn't. Your book is not for everyone. Stop saying that. Get very clear. Be very self-aware on who is your smallest viable market, and then go out and build from there.
Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it.
I think my favorite business book is probably Liz Wiseman's book called Multipliers. Liz Wiseman wrote a book called Multipliers about a decade ago. She updated it in the last couple of years, and it basically is a leadership book that impresses upon leaders, formal and informal, that your job is not to be the genius in the room, but to be the genius maker of others. She wrote a really well-researched book that illustrated 9 types of accidental diminishing tendencies, that all leaders fall into one or more of these accidental diminisher types, and our job is to be aware of them so that we can become a multiplier of people. Superb leadership book, 9 things that we all tend to be, 1 thing we all want to become.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
You know, I've been a member of the Franklin Covey Company for 25 years, founded by Dr. Stephen R. Covey. I think my favorite quote from Dr. Covey is, "You can't talk yourself out of a problem you behaved yourself into." It's good advice for children, parents, brothers-in-laws, employees, really anybody. Is the only way to get out of a problem is to behave yourself out of it.
Well, Scott, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Well, I'm on every possible platform, but I think LinkedIn tends to be my main platform. So I'd love to have you link to me. If you connect to me on LinkedIn and send me a message, I'd be happy to mail you a copy of the Mess to Success card deck. As a companion to the book, I've developed 30 cards, like a card deck, that walk through all 30 of the challenges. If you connect to me on LinkedIn and message me your mailing address, I'd be happy to send you a complimentary copy of the card deck.
Scott, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.